Hello, and welcome to another episode of English Without Limit. I'm Julia, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. I want to speak directly to that feeling inside you, the one that says, why can't I speak English fluently even after all these years? If that thought has ever crossed your mind, then this episode is for you. Let me ask you something. Do you understand English pretty well, but freeze when it's time to speak? Have you spent years studying grammar, doing exercises, maybe even passing exams? But when someone talks to you in real life, you panic or go completely silent. You are not alone. In fact, that exact situation is one of the most common things I hear from learners all over the world. And here's the truth. Your problem is not your intelligence. It's not your memory. It's not even your English level. The real problem is the method. Most people don't realize that the traditional way of learning English, memorizing vocabulary lists, studying grammar rules, filling in worksheets, is designed for testing, not for speaking. It trains your brain to analyze and remember, but not to react and respond in real time. And when you try to speak, you're not actually communicating. You're trying to recall and apply. That's a heavy load for your brain. And that's why your words get stuck. But I want to tell you something that might completely change the way you see yourself. You are not bad at English. You're just practicing in a way that doesn't lead to fluency. It's like trying to learn to swim by reading books about water. You might know everything about how to float, how to breathe, and how to move your arms. But until you get in the pool and start moving, you're not really swimming. Language works the same way. And the worst part? When you feel stuck, you start to believe something is wrong with you. You begin to tell yourself, maybe I'm not good at languages. Maybe I started too late. Maybe I'll never be fluent. That voice gets louder the longer you stay silent. But I'm here to tell you, fluency is not about talent or age or even how long you've studied. Fluency is about what you do every day with the English you already know. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to wait until you memorize more vocabulary. What you need is practice that mirrors real life. You need confidence. And confidence doesn't come from theory. It comes from action. Let me ask you another question. Have you ever met someone who speaks English fluently but makes a lot of grammar mistakes? I know I have. I've met people from all over, Spain, Italy, Germany, Poland, who speak with confidence and clarity, even though their grammar isn't always perfect. And you know what? No one cares. People care about understanding you, not about judging every word you say. If this is starting to make sense, if you're realizing that your struggle isn't your fault, then I want to invite you to make a new decision today. Decide that you are not going to wait for fluency to magically happen. Decide to change the way you practice. Decide to speak more, even when it feels uncomfortable. This podcast, English Without Limit, is all about helping you do that. Every episode is here to give you real, practical tools that you can use. Not someday, but today. And I want you to be part of this movement. We are a global community of learners working together to grow, step by step, without pressure and without fear. We believe in progress, not perfection. So, if this message speaks to you, if you're ready to stop feeling stuck, then I invite you to subscribe and give this episode a like. It's a simple way to say, yes, I'm in. I'm ready to learn differently. I'm ready to speak. And when you do, You help this message reach more people who are struggling silently, just like you might have been. You don't have to go through this alone. We're building something powerful here. And I promise you, if you stay with me and apply what I share, your English will start to change. Not because you studied more, but because you practiced smarter. Because you changed how you saw yourself. Because you started using your voice. Now, take a deep breath. Let go of the pressure. You're here. And that means you're already doing something different. You're not just learning English, you're choosing to live it. And that choice is the first step toward real fluency. Welcome to the community. Let's begin. Let me tell you about someone who reminds me of many of you. Her name is Elise. She's from Paris, and she had been studying English for over 10 years. Private classes, online courses, YouTube videos. She tried it all. Her notebooks were full of grammar rules, vocabulary lists, and pronunciation tips, apps on her phone, flashcards on her desk, English subtitles on every movie. From the outside, Elise looked like someone doing everything right. But when we first spoke, here's what she told me. Julia, I know so much. I can read articles, understand podcasts, even help my son with his English homework. But when someone asks me a simple question, what do you do? Where are you from? I freeze. The words are in my head, but they don't come out. Her voice trembled. I could hear the frustration, the doubt, the disappointment. After all that effort, she still felt like a beginner. And the hardest part? The shame. The shame of thinking, why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? So if you've ever felt like Elise, I want you to hear me clearly. You are not broken. You are not bad at English. There is nothing wrong with your brain. What's holding you back isn't a lack of effort. It's not intelligence. It's not dedication. It's your mindset. Elise was trained to aim for perfection. Her brain went into correction mode every time she spoke. She didn't want to sound wrong, so instead, she stayed quiet. She thought silence was safer, but silence never leads to fluency. What Elise didn't realize, and what many learners don't realize, is this. Speaking is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about letting yourself be heard, even when your grammar isn't perfect. It's about connection, not correction. When I asked Elise why she was still struggling, she said, I think I'm waiting to feel fluent before I start speaking. That's the trap. The idea that fluency comes first and speaking comes later. But that's backwards. Speaking is not the result of fluency. Speaking is the path to fluency. I want to talk about something that silently holds so many learners back. It's not grammar. It's not vocabulary. It's not even pronunciation. It's perfection. Let's start with something honest. Have you ever thought this? If I can't speak perfectly, I shouldn't speak at all. I know many of you have, because I hear it all the time. People who know a lot about English, but still can't speak. People who are afraid to open their mouths because they worry the words won't come out right. And at the center of all that fear is this one powerful idea. I must be perfect. Let's break it down. Have you ever stopped yourself from speaking in a meeting, or with a friend, or even in an English class, just because you weren't 100% sure how to say something? Have you ever practiced a sentence in your head 10 times, only to say nothing, because you feared it would come out wrong? That fear didn't start yesterday. In school, we were corrected constantly. Red marks, strict teachers, maybe even classmates who laughed when someone mispronounced a word. We were trained to believe that mistakes are bad, that silence is safer than error. And that belief followed us into adulthood. It affects how we practice, how we judge ourselves, how we speak or don't speak. I meet learners every week who say, "I'll speak more when I feel ready." But what they really mean is, "I'll speak more when I can be perfect." And that day never comes. Because perfection is not a real goal. It's a wall your brain builds to protect you. But that wall, it's not keeping you safe. It's keeping you stuck. Now I know, it feels scary to speak with mistakes. You worry others might judge you, that they won't understand. But here's the truth. Most people don't care if you make a mistake. They care if they can understand you. They care if you're clear, if you're present, if you're making an effort to connect. You don't need perfection to do that. You need clarity. And you need courage. Let me give you a simple example. If someone says, "Yesterday I go to store." Sure, we all know the correct form is "went to the store." But did I understand what they meant? Absolutely. The message was clear. The grammar wasn't perfect, but the communication was successful. That's what speaking is about. Being understood, not passing a test. Some of the most fluent non-native speakers I know still make grammar mistakes, but they speak confidently. They speak freely. They don't let mistakes stop them. Why? Because they're focused on the message, not the mechanics. They've stopped chasing perfection and started embracing expression. Let's get something straight. Fluency is not sounding like a native. It's speaking like yourself, with confidence and clarity. Even native speakers don't speak perfectly. We pause. We forget words. We say and and we keep going. Because we trust our ideas more than our grammar. And I want you to practice the same thing. Now I know it's not easy. Letting go of perfection takes courage. It means showing up with your real voice, not your rehearsed one. But here's the secret. Fluency grows through imperfect moments. Every time you speak, even with mistakes, your confidence grows, your fluency grows. So how do we break the perfection trap? Step 1, change your goal. Don't aim to sound like a textbook. Aim to be understood. Ask yourself, did they understand me? Not, did I say it perfectly? Step 2, simplify. You don't need big words or advanced grammar. You need simple, clear language that works. Talk like you would to a friend, not to an examiner, not to a grammar teacher. That's the kind of English that works in real life. And step 3, practice in real situations. Speak now, not later, not someday. Now talk to yourself in the mirror. Record your voice. Say things out loud during your day. The more you use your voice, the less power fear will have over you. Confidence doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from doing something, even when you don't feel ready. And every time you speak, you build the muscle of fluency, one imperfect sentence at a time. Let go of the pressure to be perfect. It's not helping you. It's holding you back. Choose progress over perfection, clarity over complexity, your voice over your fear. You don't need to be perfect to speak. You just need to be brave enough to try. And every time you try, you grow. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about. It's something learners say all the time. I need to study more grammar. Beginners say it. Intermediate learners say it. Even advanced students say it. But in most cases, it's not grammar that's missing. It's repetition. Simple, practical, consistent repetition. Let me explain. Think about how you learned your first language. You didn't start with grammar rules. You didn't open a textbook at 2 years old. You listened, you repeated, you heard the same things again and again. And slowly, your brain made the connections. Fluency grew from repetition, not from theory. It works the same way in English. Now, grammar has value. Of course it does. It helps us write clearly. It helps us understand how things fit together. But speaking is about access. It's about speed. When you're in conversation, you don't have time to analyze. You need to respond. That speed doesn't come from knowing more. It comes from practicing what you already know until it becomes automatic. Let me share a quick story. A student named Marco from Rome told me, "I know all the rules, but I can't speak." He had studied for years. School, university, online courses. But when it came time to speak, he froze. So we started something simple. Every day, 5 useful phrases. Things like, "Can I help you with that?" "Let me think about it." "I'm not sure, but I believe." "That sounds like a great idea." We repeated those every day, in different ways, different situations, and after 2 weeks, something changed. He started speaking automatically, with confidence, not because he learned something new, but because he finally used what he knew. That's the power of repetition. So if you feel stuck, ask yourself, do I need more grammar? Or do I just need to repeat what I already know? Most of the time, it's repetition, because fluency is not a mountain of knowledge. It's a rhythm of use. Every time you repeat with intention, you build your fluency. One phrase, one sentence, one step at a time. And your journey can start right now. Today, I want to introduce you to something that might completely change the way you approach your English learning journey. It's the habit of thinking in English. If you've never tried this before, or if you tried but gave up quickly, stay with me, because this is one of the most powerful tools for real fluency. And guess what? It doesn't require more grammar, more vocabulary, or more time. It requires a change in how you use the English you already know. Let me start by asking you something simple. When you speak English, do you first think in your native language, then try to translate the sentence in your head before saying it? Most learners do this, and it makes total sense in the beginning. After all, your thoughts are naturally formed in your first language. So, when you need to speak English, your brain grabs the idea, searches for the right words in English, then builds the sentence step by step. That sounds logical, right? But the problem is, it's slow, it's stressful, and it often leads to mistakes. This process creates a kind of mental traffic jam. While your brain is busy translating, the moment of conversation moves forward. Someone asks you a question, and you pause. Not because you don't know the answer, but because your brain is doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work to translate it. That pause feels uncomfortable. You lose confidence, you start to doubt yourself, and soon, you prefer to stay quiet instead of speaking at all. Now, imagine something different. Imagine hearing a question in English and responding without that pause. No translation, no searching. Just your thoughts, directly in English. That's what thinking in English makes possible. It's not about speaking fast, it's about speaking freely. Without that invisible filter that slows you down and makes you doubt your abilities. Thinking in English isn't something that just happens one day. It's a habit, a trainable, learnable skill that grows with consistent effort. And the good news is, you don't need to be advanced to start. You can begin thinking in English at any level, using the words and phrases you already know. When I talk to learners who have made real progress, one thing they all mention is this moment, when they stopped translating. It didn't happen overnight, but it began with small steps, simple phrases, everyday thoughts. Instead of saying, "I'm going to the store" in their native language, then translating it in their mind, they just started to say it in English, sometimes silently, sometimes out loud. Little by little, they started to live more of their daily thoughts in English. One of my students, Dario from Milan, had a habit of narrating everything in his head, but in Italian. When I suggested he start doing that in English instead, even with basic phrases, his speaking speed improved within weeks. He told me, "At first it was strange and I had to push myself, but then it started to feel normal. Now I catch myself thinking in English when I'm not even trying." That's exactly how it works. At first, you do it consciously. Later, it becomes automatic. So, how do you start? Step 1. Reduce the complexity. Don't try to think in long, complicated sentences. Start with what you already say to yourself every day. Things like, "I'm hungry." "I need to check my email." "It's cold today." "I like this song." These are the kinds of thoughts that run through your mind constantly, and they're the perfect place to start building the habit. Step 2. Attach English to specific routines. For example, when you wake up in the morning, say your first thoughts in English. "It's Monday." "I have a meeting at 10." "I need to shower." During your commute, look around and name the things you see in English. Red car, tall building, busy street. Before going to sleep, review your day in simple English thoughts. Today was a good day. I had lunch with Anna. I worked hard. These moments might feel small, but they build a powerful foundation. You're training your brain to reach for English first, not as a translation, but as your direct line of thought. This helps you react faster, think more clearly, and speak with more confidence. The mistake many learners make is believing they can only think in English after they're fluent. But the truth is, you become fluent because you start thinking in English. The process creates fluency, not the other way around. Even if your vocabulary is limited, even if your grammar isn't perfect, you can still start this practice. Another benefit of thinking in English is that it prepares your mind for real conversations. If you're already forming thoughts in English throughout the day, you'll feel more natural when it's time to speak with someone. Your brain doesn't have to switch languages. The sentence is already there, ready to be said. And this reduces anxiety and hesitation, two of the biggest barriers to speaking. Also, thinking in English gives you constant exposure without needing extra time. You don't need to be in a class or in front of a screen. You can practice during your daily routines, walking, cooking, getting dressed, or even waiting in line. It's private. It's free, and it's powerful. I want to remind you, it's okay if your inner thoughts in English are simple. That's actually a good thing. Simple means clear, and clear is what fluency needs. You're not writing a novel in your head. You're building the habit of using English as your natural language of thought. Over time, your thoughts become more complex. Your vocabulary grows. Your sentences become more flexible. But it all starts with consistency. One final tip. If you don't know how to say something in English, don't give up. Try to find another way to say it. That moment of searching is valuable. It pushes your brain to stay in English instead of returning to your native language. You'll be surprised how creative you can become when you limit yourself to the language you know. This challenge strengthens your ability to express ideas, even when your words are limited. Thinking in English is like building a bridge between your knowledge and your speech. It connects what you understand with what you can say. And once that bridge is strong, everything changes. You begin to feel that English isn't just something you study. It becomes something you live. And that shift is where real fluency begins. Every time you say something out loud, you're strengthening the connection between your brain and your mouth. You're reminding yourself that you have a voice in English, and that voice deserves to be used. Some people ask me, but what if I make a mistake while talking to myself? And I always smile when I hear that, because it doesn't matter. In fact, it's better that you make the mistake now when no one is listening. That's how you learn. That's how you correct and grow. Mistakes made in private become improvements in public. I want you to feel the power of your own voice. I want you to experience how much clarity, control, and confidence grow just from speaking a little more every day. You don't need a partner. You don't need a classroom. You need a few minutes, your voice, and a willingness to sound imperfect while getting stronger. This is a practice I've seen change people's lives. Not just their English, but their belief in themselves. Because when you hear your own voice in English every day, you stop feeling like a learner and start feeling like a speaker. And that shift changes everything. Today, I want to share a story about one of my students, Mia from Amsterdam. Mia was shy about speaking English because she thought her pronunciation wasn't good enough. I suggested she try shadowing to improve her accent and fluency. At first, she was hesitant. She said, "Julia, it feels so fast, I can't keep up." But I encouraged her to start with short clips, just 20 or 30 seconds, and repeat small phrases. She practiced daily, even if just for 5 minutes. After a few weeks, Mia noticed her speaking became smoother and her confidence increased. She told me, "Shadowing helped me hear the music of English, and now I feel like I can dance along." That's the kind of progress shadowing brings. It's not about perfection, it's about rhythm and flow. When you shadow, you also pay attention to stress and intonation, which are crucial for sounding natural. English is a musical language, and shadowing helps you catch that melody. To start shadowing, pick something you enjoy listening to. Maybe a podcast, a short speech, or even a scene from a movie. Make sure the audio is clear and the speaker talks at a natural pace. Not too fast or too slow. Listen to a short segment once or twice to understand the meaning. Then, play the same segment and try to repeat immediately after the speaker, copying their voice as closely as you can. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. The goal isn't perfect comprehension at first. It's practicing the sounds and rhythm. You'll learn new words naturally as you repeat and listen. If something is really hard to say, you can slow down the audio or break the segment into smaller parts. Shadowing also helps you with pronunciation, because you hear the correct way to say words and phrases repeatedly. This exposure trains your mouth to form sounds you might not use in your native language. Over time, your accent improves. without having to study pronunciation rules or spend hours on drills. One important tip is to use shadowing regularly. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day can make a big difference if you're consistent. It's better to practice a little every day than long sessions once a week. Your brain needs that daily connection between hearing and speaking. Another great way to practice shadowing is to record yourself. After repeating the audio, record your voice and listen to it. Compare your pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation with the original. Don't be too hard on yourself. This is part of the learning process. Over time, you'll notice improvements, and that will motivate you to keep going. Shadowing is also a fantastic way to prepare for real conversations. Since you're practicing quick responses, your brain gets used to producing English faster. This reduces hesitation and fear when you speak with others, because your mouth has already practiced the movements and sounds in advance. Remember, shadowing is not about memorizing scripts. It's about training your brain and mouth to work together. Hearing English as it's really spoken and copying that sound as closely as possible. It's like training your voice and ear to be friends, so they can help you speak fluently. If you feel stuck in your speaking progress, I encourage you to try shadowing. Pick a short, interesting audio and start practicing today. It might feel strange or difficult at first, but that's normal. Keep practicing, and you will see how quickly your fluency improves. The secret of shadowing is that it's active, fast, and fun. It pushes you out of your comfort zone gently, helping you build the muscle of speaking English naturally. When you combine shadowing with other methods, like thinking in English or speaking out loud alone, you create a powerful toolkit for fluency. Your English voice is waiting to be unlocked. Shadowing is one of the keys that opens the door. Try it, keep going, and watch your English flow like never before. Now, let me tell you about Luca from Milan. Luca is a young professional who had been listening to English podcasts for nearly 2 years. He loved learning new words and understanding conversations. But there was one big problem. He never spoke. Whenever he tried, he felt nervous and unsure. His mind would freeze, and he'd quickly stop trying. This is a situation many learners face. They are great listeners, but silent when it comes to speaking. When Luca first reached out to me, he said, "Julia, I listen to English all the time, but I can't speak. It's frustrating." I understood him perfectly, because this is a common struggle. Listening is passive, speaking is active. You need both to become fluent. So I introduced Luca to a practice called shadowing, repeating out loud what you hear immediately after the speaker. It's a way to train your mouth and brain together, speeding up your ability to produce English naturally. Luca was a bit hesitant at first. He said he wasn't sure if he could do it while walking in the park near his home. But I encouraged him to start with small steps, just 5 minutes per day. He chose his favorite English podcast, and every time he went for a walk, he pulled out his headphones, played a short clip, and repeated the sentences he heard, trying to copy the speaker's pronunciation and rhythm. At first, it was awkward. He stumbled over words, and sometimes had to rewind the audio to catch up. But he didn't give up. He kept practicing daily. And after a few weeks, Luca noticed a big difference. His mouth became more comfortable forming English sounds. His confidence grew because he was speaking regularly, even if only to himself in the park. The hesitation and fear started to fade. One day, Luca told me about a moment at work. During a meeting with his international team, he was asked to give his opinion on a project. Instead of freezing or avoiding the question, he took a deep breath and spoke up in English. His words weren't perfect, but they were clear and confident. That was the turning point. What changed for Luca wasn't a new grammar book or vocabulary list. It was active practice. Shadowing during his walks trained him to respond quickly and naturally. It connected his listening skills to speaking skills. He didn't wait for perfect conditions or for someone else to practice with. He created his own speaking moments every day. Luca's story shows how important it is to move from passive listening to active speaking. Many learners spend hours absorbing English through videos, podcasts, and reading. That's valuable, but without using your voice, your brain isn't fully prepared for real conversations. Shadowing helps bridge that gap by forcing you to produce language immediately. Another key point is that Luca made English part of his routine in a way that suited his lifestyle. Walking in the park became a learning time. Combining movement with language practice, this made it enjoyable and sustainable. You don't need long study sessions or complicated schedules. Just find moments that work for you and use them consistently. If you find yourself stuck like Luca did, listening but not speaking, I encourage you to try shadowing. Start with short clips you enjoy and repeat what you hear out loud, matching the speaker's tone and pace as closely as you can. It's normal to feel awkward at first, but with regular practice, you'll build muscle memory and confidence. Remember, fluency is not about perfection. It's about the ability to communicate your ideas clearly and confidently. Luca's story reminds us that the key to speaking well is active practice. Using your voice regularly, even if it's just for yourself. Whether you're walking in a park, waiting for the bus, or doing chores at home, take those moments to speak English aloud. Your brain and mouth will thank you. You'll notice your hesitation fading and your fluency growing. Like Luca, you'll go from being a silent listener to a confident speaker. So, to wrap up today's episode, remember, learning English is not just about studying harder or memorizing more. It's about creating habits that bring English into your daily life, using your voice, practicing actively, and building an environment where English feels natural, shadowing, thinking in English, and speaking out loud. These are powerful tools that help you unlock your fluency step by step. Start small, stay consistent, and trust the process. Your voice matters. Your progress is real. And every little practice brings you closer to speaking English freely and confidently. Thanks for joining me on English Without Limit. I'm Julia, and I'll see you next time, where we'll keep building your English without limits. Take care and keep speaking.